So I'm just going to dive right in now to just a wee brief explanation about how to even beginning with Canva animations. And I know I do tend to share a lot more complex stuff, but I'm going to break it down into the absolute basics for the moment. And when you are in your home screen, I like to call it, on your desktop of Canva, I'm just going to show you how easily you can actually start to animate any template that is in the library at the moment, even if it's not a video template. So what I'm going to do is grab this mood board, and at the moment it is just a static image that should serve as a graphic. But do you know that if you click down here in the bottom, which is duration, that it immediately changes this now to a timeline? And it's now changed it into animated or video format for you, which you can now start to animate. And if you're not sure where to start, you can, when you go to animate at the top left-hand side of your screen, there is a thing called Magic Animate, which is AI powered, and it means it starts to kind of like animate it for you. And really this is just to get you started if you're just really not got a clue where to even begin. And there are quite a few different options in here of different ways you can animate that template. But as I said, that is just the basics and beginnings. You can also animate as a whole page. So if you start to go through the combinations, there are quite a few that lets you plan. Now, in the free version, you do have access to these animations. Where the difference between Pro and free is when you click on these, you can change the duration. So you'll notice chill just allows you to go animate on entry and on exit. However, if I go to pan, now with the wee to it, it lets you either slow down the animation or change the direction of the animation. And that's the difference between free and pro. You're able to have greater control over the animation style that you are choosing. If you then click on individual elements, you are able to have a bit more control over the animation feature as well. So if I go back up here, it has got pan selected because it's animated the whole page. But now it lets me switch to photo animations rather than page animations, and lets me differ the animation that I give it. So I can now change this one element and make it a different animation from the others. And this just gives you, again, greater customization of the page that you want to do. But I just really wanted to show you that if you have no idea where to even begin with animations, then start with a template that's already designed and then start to edit that rather than from scratch. And again, with this one, this is again a static image template. And when you don't see that bottom timeline, if you click this little arrow, you can now see that we can now switch it to duration, and we can now change it to a video template. And there's different ways we can search for animation that's not just in the animation transitions. If we go to elements, we have down here stickers, and these are all kind of animated elements that we can use and add to our design if we wish to add some confetti and things, and it automatically adds a little bit of animation to your design. And if you go into elements as well, I'll search on guitar, I haven't even tried this yet to see what it has. And you obviously have a lot of graphics. But in Pro, if you go to the toggle, you can also select just animated. And then what it does is it just gives you animated elements that you can add to your guitar as well. But I'm going to not really focus on the animated elements that are in the library. I'm more going to show you how we can add animations to our designs using text and images. And I think even with this one, if I get rid of that, just as a start, again, with the text, if we go up to animate, I'm going to animate each one individually. And here, to make sure that I'm not on page animations, I'm on text animations, so I can edit each one on its own. And you'll see that there's all sorts of ones. You'll find that you'll soon start to get favourites and ones that you know work well and with your design. I do like fade, And you can change the speed that fade comes in and make it a lot slower. You can also have it fade in by character. You can have it fade in by word, and you can have it fade in by line. And this is where the Pro features have so much more adaptation you can do to each individual element. And or you can make it pop. And again, what it means by animating both on enter on exit is when you come off your screen and go on to the next slide, that element will disappear before it moves on to your next page. So I sometimes forget when I'm animating to put it on enter, and I wonder why my text is disappearing before it goes on to the next slide. Just go back in and check that you don't have it on both. Keep it on animated. So if I have mosquito guitars popping on enter, then what I want to do is change this text to have a slightly different animation. And I'm going to use baseline for this one. And again, it's coming in quite fast. So I want to just slow this down, and I can change the direction of the animation. I can have it coming in from the left, from the right, and from top and bottom, but I want to kind of have this rising. And then we can actually animate the picture as well. And the photo animations are slightly different from the text animations, and you can add in a little movement, which is nice, and it can be quite subtle. So we can have photo flow, which just gently moves down the page, photo rise, and photo zoom. I do like using photo zoom quite a lot, and I'm going to have it animate just on entry so that it stops. And now when I play that, you can see that we've just very simply added a little animation to a static graphic, which has just taken a few minutes. And that can be really nice if you want to use it for an introduction video, or just to post on your socials without it being a static graphic. You can obviously use resize and magic switch to change the size of it as well. But I'm going to keep running through the other tutorials I've got, because I've got quite a few to show you. This one here is one that I have shared on my socials, and I kind of share this one in my trainings because it's a really simple one, but it's quite effective. And this one is where I'm just going to play them. There's two different variations I have, and I'll break them down and show you how to make each one. And I'm keeping an eye on my chat, so if you've got any questions during this, just please let me know. And when we play this video, what we have is just some text appearing from behind an image. And there is a couple of wee stages to go to, but it's quite simple once I break it down. And when I slowly hover over this, you'll see that I have added a transition between the two slides. And when I click on that, the transition that I have added is match and move. And if anyone already follows me on my socials, you'll know how much I love match and move transitions. There's just so many endless possibilities you can do with match and move transitions. And this is all about layers. So this design, when you break it down, when you go into position, you can see that I actually have some text hidden. If I move it above, you can see this text is hidden behind the houses. And I've also got the image placed twice, but I've removed the background of the sky. So if I do this again, which is our image of the house, we are going to copy the image, and then we're going to go up to edit photo and use background remover. And background remover is going to be your best friend if you have Canva Pro. I have been a designer for a long time, and I used to painfully have to sit in Photoshop and cut out paths, which would take me over an hour, for this thing that literally takes seconds. I did show it to my own boss recently, who's never used Canva, and his jaw dropped when he's seen how accurate and how quickly it done this. So once we have, just going to zoom out a little bit so I can see more. You'll now see, if I move this about, that we've now got the house without its background. And I'm going to just grab the text from here so I can show you this quickly. Let's go to here. So you'll see we have our text. And I want the text to, at the moment, if I bring this down, it's going to sit on top of the house. So I have to move it, and layers is in position. So if I go to layers, I can then drag my text to sit underneath the house so you can't see it. And I'm going to shorten this timeline so it's a faster transition. I'm going to click my 3 dots and then duplicate the page. And then this time I'm going to select text and I'm going to bring it up to the top so that it's sitting on top. I then go between my two pages, and if I click add transition, you now see we've got a whole load of new animations that we can add between our pages. And the trick is to get really nice combination of both animations on your text and images, combining them with text, transitions between pages, and that's what helps create really nice finished video animations when you are posting them on your socials and on your website. And this one I'm going to use Match and Move. Now, Match and Move, if you follow me on social media already and you've seen my YouTube tutorials, Match and Move is like my favourite tool ever. The creativity is endless, and even I am still finding new ways to use just this one feature within the transitions. And now what happens, you can see that we've got the text scrolling up from behind the house. But we can, if I play this is going to go quite fast. So you can see how fast that is. If I select it, notice how we can actually change the duration of the match and move as well. So if I bring this right up, and each slide, the longer duration you make it, the longer you can make your max and move transition as well. And then if I now play it, it's going a bit slower. Jason, match and move is great. Mine creates wonky movement sometimes. Yes, this may be where you have to play with your timings of your slides. I do find that I tweak them quite a lot, and I'm constantly dragging my timeline over the transitions to get them right, and it's a bit of trial and error. Yep, so match and move, if you missed it, if I hover my timeline across, it just allows, basically wherever you have an element or a bit of text, it then moves it to that new position and shows you the movement. So it doesn't just disappear and fade in somewhere else. It actually shows you the text of the element moving across the screen. But you'll notice the text is a bit difficult to read. So what we can do here is if I go back up to position, thanks Gina, and I select the background photograph that still has the sky, I'm going to go back into edit photo. But most people are always kind of like concentrating on what Magic Studio does and what the effects does. But do you know, if you click adjust, there is a whole heap of really lovely I'm going to say edits, that's not the word I'm looking for. Changes you can make to your images. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just bring the darkness right down. So it's not going to affect the house because the house is sitting on top and we're not changing colour, but it's just going to darken the background. So now when I hover across, you'll notice that it also darkens the sky and the text is much more readable. And that's a really handy wee trick to do to again also show a kind of greater change in your animation. So if I just play that, you can see now that it's gave you this really nice effect, and it's literally taken us like 5 minutes or so. And it's something I do use quite a lot with my clients working with my own work. And I did the same with this effect here, this one with space, and then we move it up. This time I've got the outline text sitting on top, and then when you scroll to the next one, it now shows you the filled in space. And again, it's similar technique here, which I'll again talk you through. So we start off with the picture of space. And again, when you're trying to do this effect, try and find one where you know you've got enough space to have the text rising in the background. And I'm going to copy the image again and again, background remover. And place it exactly on top of the other one. And then this time I'm going to show you how I got the layered effect for the text. So to get the outline, I just used text effects and hollow. Now you can change the thickness of this. When it does outline your text, it kind of gives you this really thick, chunky outline. I find that it looks a bit cheap. I always like to change the thickness of the line to be much thinner because I think it gives you a much nicer finished effect. And I'm going to copy that text so that I have the effect taken off. And the key here, and again, I'm going to go back into position in our layers, is to make sure that the solid text sits underneath the outline text. So when we place them on top of each other, we can then place the outline text, the outline of the mountain in between those two text layers. And when we do that, you can already see that we can just see part of the outline emerging from outside the mountain. So if we sit it on the first frame with just the outline text showing, and I'm going to reduce this timeline down, and then I'll click on the 3 dots and duplicate the page. Then I'm just going to select my text and move it up. So just part of the mountain sticking over the text and a bit here. And again, go back in and add match and move. And now when I drag my arrow across the timeline, you can see you have this transition with the outline text and the solid text. And again, we can, on the first slide, if we wish, not the first slide, sorry, second slide, change the colour of the background slightly so that it's a more obvious transition. Again, go to adjust, and we can darken that down. So now, when we do the match and move, you can see the sky darken as the text hovers up. Now, that's quite just a few steps, but I've seen it used so many times, and it's still, I still love this effect, and I still use this effect quite a lot because I feel it's a really effective one, and it can be used in so many different ways. So I hope you guys like that one. So it went all very quiet on me. There's no comments, but I'll keep ploughing through. And now I need to just flick on my next screen. Hang on a second. Thanks, Patrick. I always struggle. I talk that much. And sometimes when there's nothing back, I wonder, right, okay, if he's all went to sleep or he's just absorbed in learning. So, this one is, I love this effect, and I actually first saw this, and it was a Figma animation, I think it was. And this is something I like to do. I like to look at Figma animations and After Effects and all these other design programs, and then think, how can I do that in Canva? There must be a way to do something similar in Canva. And surprisingly, PowerPoint animations are huge. Who knew? Because I hate PowerPoint, but this one I really like. It's just a moving carousel, and it's so simple to actually create, but it looks so effective. And I'm going to break down and build this one for you just now. And what I'm going to do is kind of deconstruct this one to show you how I made it. So I'm going to copy it first, and just drag it to the end so I can show you what I've done to this one. And this one is actually, if I reduce this right down, you can now see that this is 4 images that I have grouped so that you only see one image at a time, which fills the screen. And then with the match and move, I then move the image along so that it then gives us that lovely carousel effect. And when also as well, this is just a logo I've taken from the Canva library just now, and some text in between each page. I am changing the text as the room is changing. And then lastly, this part here is literally a semicircle. So I've made it a semicircle so that it gives us that panoramic effect. And then, as you can see here, if I move this along, I literally just grab the image and drag it to the next image, add in a little match and move so that when it plays, and I'll need to move the image back, when it plays, it gives us that moving carousel. And I haven't even added any animation to the text because the animation effect of the text transitioning with the match and move is enough of an animation for me. I don't really want to add any more animation effects because I think actually just having the moving image is enough. So every element in these 4 slides stays the same. I literally change the text at the top and then grab the image. Now, one thing I have to tell you is this only works as long as nothing, like if I drag this right off the edge and I let this go, I will then lose those images and I won't be able to select them again. There has to be an element of it still sitting on the page. So if I ungrouped these images, then I wouldn't be able to select the next image and drag it along. The secret here is when you start off with the images, I'm going to ungroup them just now, start my search and just put interior homes. And when I select the images, and they can be in, and these were all from the Canva library, just to show you the example. I design it small enough on the screen so that I can then select them and group them. And then once they're grouped, excuse me, I then enlarge it so that it's big enough. And if you have to your viewings, scroll down and make it quite small until it fits the screen, and then you're able to move it to capture the second screen when you're going through that animation. And that one actually, there was a few, amazes me because there was a few wee stages to that and I thought, it can't be that simple. And then I actually watched somebody do and I thought, right, that's nice. That has to go in the workshop today to show you guys. And then the next one is I'm going to show you a couple of wee techniques of how you can very easily animate your logos. And again, I've picked logos that are within the template library, but obviously if you have your own logos, you'll be able to animate them differently and add them differently. But I'm just going to show you how you can do it from assets that are already within the Canva library. And this one I've just selected, it's a static image, but I have changed it to a video template just so I can show you these effects. And the first one I'm going to play, and now you'll notice that the hello is missing. And we've got the hello coming on as in the typewriter effect, and then we've got the stars flashing. And I'm going to show you how we did that. And so what I'm going to do is the first one is just very simply, I went to animate and I clicked typewriter effect and on enter so that it doesn't disappear at the end of it. Yes, there will be a replay available. I've got it recording from the start so you won't have missed anything. We can slow it down slightly, but then I'm going to duplicate this page because I want the stars to animate on a different slide. I don't want them to animate at the same time because it's really lovely if you have just one element animating at a time rather than everything, which can be quite overwhelming and you often miss things. So on the second slide, I'm going to select my 2 stars and go to animate. And then down the bottom, there are some new motion effects. And I'm going to select pulse. And again, you can change the intensity of how much you want these to pulse by. But again, they just give you this really lovely movement to something that would usually be quite static. And this one is another logo that is grabbed from this. This has got a few wee stages here and a match and move because I have to add a match and move in. And instead of just being a static logo, I have added movement with just the full stop. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So this one has got a little bit of magic animation to it, which is a little bit different from the ones on the sidebar. So first of all, what we do is we change the colour, and I find when you change the colour of just the element that you're animating, helps it stand out a bit more. And I'm going to just duplicate this page because on the first page, I don't want us to see the full stop at all. And all I'm going to do is add a little animation and I'll make it ascend on enter, and I'm going to have it coming up from the bottom. I'm going to slow it down slightly so that it's not coming in too fast. Then on the second slide, there is no animation on this because I don't want Salt now to move. I take the full stop and we go back up to animate. At the top, I don't know if you guys have done much with creating an animation of dragging elements. This is like a kind of a bit of a secret weapon. There's lots of different ways you can use this one. So if I click on this, it's got cute wee bumblebee, do that. I need to move it into the starting position and the starting position is quite important. So now that I've got it in the starting position, I've got to create an animation, because now when if I don't have my finger on shift, it basically can move anywhere. And now you'll see that it's doing this motion. But I want it to go, so to go in a straight line, if you hold down shift, now when I bring it down, you can see that it's bringing it in a perfectly straight line. And depending on how good your hand is and use your mouse, sometimes you might go slower at one point and then you might go a bit faster. So I always like to select steady, or you can select smooth to see which one you feel gives you that better animation. It's really slow at the moment, so I'm going to speed it up so that it's a much faster animation as well. And once I'm happy with the speed that it's doing, I click done. And now when I hover over the timeline, you can see that it now falls down into position. And then lastly, to add this pulse effect, if I just play it here, you can then see it pulses. Again, we duplicate the slide. When you duplicate, you have to go back into custom and delete the path that's there. Otherwise, it tries to do the same animation, but also click out of that create animation, or it'll start trying to do it again. And then we can move it down to roughly where we thought it ended. And this time select the dot and go down to pulse. And depending on how much of an effect you want that to be, you can either make it quite a subtle pulse, or you can have it really quite big and fast. And if I just play that from the start, we now have salt rising up, the animation coming in, and then the pulse effect of the button at the end. And that's just, it's subtle, but it's effective. And I do use these animations a lot when I'm animating my logos for my brand clients, for them to showcase their new logos and stuff in it. And it really works really well, but doesn't actually take that long to pull together. Now, this is one that I have taken to show you how you can convert content that's already available and it's there. And this was a carousel template, and I'm going to play it for you just now. And I've added a little bit of animation to each page to turn it into an animation instead. You can then obviously, you can post it in a video format in this size on Facebook and on LinkedIn, or you can resize it to be an Instagram reel, share on TikTok, etc. And I just want to show you again that you can take inspiration from content that's already there, but turn it into a different format. And I'm going to just talk you through just now. There is a wee bit more steps in this one, but I'm going to talk you through just now how I did that one. And I'll just play it for you one more time so you can see it again, because there's a few different elements and transitions between the pages that are going on here. And there is a recording happening just now. So yes, Sarah, there will be sent to you later on this afternoon. So what I did, as you can see, I have searched the Canva library, and I have grabbed a template that I thought, right, I can make that work as an animation, and hit customize. And again, you can see that at the moment it is in image format. So I'm going to click duration just so I can turn it into videos and change the timings of each slide. I'm going to just make them about 2 seconds for the moment. And I want to animate different things. What I noticed with this text was, because we've got italic text, different parts. So that's the first thing I'm going to change. I'm going to delete that, just because I want it to animate smoothly. And if there's too many different text boxes, it doesn't really work as well. And make sure that that is centered. It is. So first of all, I had the image animating in the background. So I'll show you how I did that. I went to animate and, oops, 1 second, make sure I've got the image selected, and go down to photo movement, and it was just photo zoom. And I just wanted to animate on enter, and I want it to animate out, I think, so that it's showing you more of the picture. Then this one, I think, so it's already got an animation attached to it, which I'm just going to change just now. Sometimes you'll find the templates that are in the library have some animation elements attached to them. If you don't want that, you can just select remove animation to remove all. I'm just going to change it to one that I prefer, and I'm going to have it on ascend. I'm going to have it by line, and it's just going to be an enter, but I'm going to reduce the speed so that it comes in a bit slower. And then for the italicized word, I want this to have a bit more of an impact when it comes in. And I'm going to go to effects, and I'm going to go to stomp. Stomp is actually one of my favorite animations, and I do use it quite a lot. Now, this is 2 seconds long, and you can actually change the timings of your text so they don't all animate at the same time. So if you press the 3 wee dots, you can go to show timing, and now what it's done is it's brought up this timeline just for the word works. And I'm just going to drag it so that it's going to animate slightly later than the other element. And now when I start, you can see that there's a bit of a delay before works comes in. Again, that editing and hiding timings just helps you add a little bit more variety to your animations and customize them even more. And this is what helps you kind of smooth out the process with your animations as well. Another thing to note here is these 2 elements of text is separate from the text box. So if I just select both and I try to animate these, they will animate at a slightly different time. As you notice there, the text comes in at a different time than the box. If you don't want that to happen, if you group them together, then when you go to animate them, they will animate at the same time. So I'm just going to have this actually fade in. And again, I'm going to edit the timing so that it animates kind of near the end. So even on this first screen, you can see there's now quite a bit of animation happening in that first slide. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add animations to the following pages, and then go back to the beginning and add in the transitions between the pages so that we get a much kind of fuller animation. So this one here, again, this is separate, the text is separate from the box. I'm just going to quickly group these. And again, I want these to stomp because I want that when you are watching it, you're thinking in your head, step 1 stands out the most. And it's going to be the same on each page. I'm just going to get rid of any elements I don't need. And I'm going to keep the animation quite simple for the rest of this because we're going to have animations between each slide as well. So you don't want to do too much and it becomes overwhelming and loses its impact really. So I'm just going to have the typewriter effect and just have it on enter so that it doesn't delete before the end. In this text, have it ascend by line, and I'm going to reduce the speed down a wee bit as well. So I'm quickly repeat those steps again so that I can jump to the transitions to show you. Stomp. Oh, and again, see, I forgot to group them there. See that? Stomp. Delete that. Animate. And I've not, because I'm trying to rush, done it on enter. You'll always find when you start playing these back, you go, oh, that's a mistake I made, go back and tweak. And this is it. You find you'll refine it and go back and tweak quite a lot, which is what I do all the time. And then ascend on enter by line and reduce the speed. And then this one, group. Animate. And then also when people are watching you, it's always like having somebody over your shoulder. You always make mistakes when somebody watches you. Send, and enter, by line, slow it down. So hopefully when I play this, I want to just check each page has the same effects. And you notice how my steps are disappearing. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go back into Stomp and look, I've missed that. So I'm just going to fix that on each page. That only happens on enter. There we go. And then you get lots of really nice effects between pages. And I've already shown you Match and Move, which is one of my favourites, but there's some really nice other ones. And it's nice to make them a little different between each slide as well, because it keeps people's interest. So one of my other favourites is Colour Wipe. And what it'll automatically do is it'll select colours from within the design already. Or you can change it to your palette colours. You can also change the direction of the colour wipes. I'm just going to keep it going left to right for the moment. And in this one, I'm going to do a slightly different transition. I'm going to have a slide, I think, and I'm going to have it coming down the way. And then between this one, have the same transition slide, but it's going to have that going down or up. See how my brain can't remember. I have this one going up. And then the last transition, I'm going to make this a circle wipe. And again, we haven't done any animation to this page yet. But again, if you select these, you'll see these are all, different elements are not grouped. I'm just going to group them because what I'm going to just do here is add a little flicker animation and change the speeds down. And then also add a little pulse too. You can add both together. And just have a very simple animation here of send on enter by line, so we're keeping some consistency between each page. So I know I kind of downloaded quite a lot of steps there, but I'm really want to show you how you can very easily build up to having some image animation combined with text animation and then also page transitions in between. And if I now play that from the start, you can see how quickly that has all came together. Now, if you find that goes a bit fast, this is when you start playing with the length. So you can increase maybe each slide to 2 seconds so that it gives you more time to read each slide. So this is where you can really tailor it to suit yourself. The things I never knew, exactly. And this is why I love to share this stuff, because this is stuff that makes me excited. And if I get excited as a designer, then I know that other people would love to know this stuff too. And the minute I kind of work out something new and how to do something, then I want to kind of tell everyone how to do it. So I've gave you quite a few tutorials there, and I can't believe the time has flew in already. But I just want to show you this one. This is one that I'll have inside my academy. And again, it's combining the text animations with different effects. And also on this one here, I really go in depth, and I don't want to kind of scare people about all the different things you can do, but I do break it down. I think this tutorial ends up being like half an hour just because it's so in depth, but you can replay it as many times as you need. And I will pop. Oh, Claire's bought the course and not started. Well, you need to start it, Claire, because tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, God, by Friday, I'll have added the last animations. And there will be 10 tutorials in there in full. Hopefully that's the music stopped now. There will be 10 tutorials in there at the end. And what it really is I don't just explain how to do the animations. I also give you the templates with the animations all attached, so you can really see how I put it together. I also kind of show you the background workings. I use the whiteboards in Canva a lot so that I can show you how I come up with my ideas, how I collate the designs together, and really kind of show you the inside minds of a designer. I will link the course in here so you have it. Yes, so I try to tailor the designs to, there's a combination of real designs, there is short video intros if you are a service business, I have product videos if you have a product business, but really the tutorials, no matter what the subject matter is, I am showing you the methods behind it so that you can edit it and really adapt it to suit your own niche. And yes, if you guys have any other questions for me just now about the course, then please let me know. Oh, and I should tell you, I'm really kind of want to give you a wee insight of what my teaching's like and what you can expect inside it, and give you the chance to kind of grab it now before the price increases. I would also love if you can, I've just attached a feedback link. If you want to go on there and just give me feedback of how you found the workshop today, whether you found the tutorials helpful, and yeah, any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Yes, the recording, what I'll do, I'll have you guys emails from when you signed up to the work, watch it as a replay, and I'll leave it available, I think, for about the next 2 weeks as a replay for you to catch up. Oh, thanks, Stephanie. So yes, I mean, I do also have a Facebook group where you can ask me questions. It's called Be Canva Confident. Much. Yes, so anything you have missed, anything that you've not quite got yet, then do catch the replay. when I send you the link, it will probably be later on tonight. It is my mum's birthday, so after I've done these workshops, I'm heading over to see my mum for a little while, and then I'll upload the videos when I get back. But yes, thank you from all across the world where you've been getting it, where you've been joining me. I'm really thankful. Yeah, I'll tell my mum. She said thank you very much. And yes, I hope to see you guys very, very soon. If not on the course, if you join my Facebook workshop or you follow me on Instagram, I will be so appreciative of every single one. So thank you guys.